Hey, did you know that the way you see yourself has such a huge impact on the results you allow yourself to create? Hello, this is Rosemary Nonny Knight. How are you doing? If you think you'll always struggle, then you'll always struggle. In fact, you'll feel weirdly out of sync if things come too easily to you. And so you'll return to struggle because that is who you've identified yourself as being. So let me try and explain. Over the last few months, weeks, whatever, I've kind of had a bit of a blip in my health and my wellness and weight, particularly. I mean, I've worked so hard over the last few years building up businesses, and I'd kind of got into the habit of forgetting to actually eat. So I kind of lost all this weight. Without really doing anything about it. And so then people would say to me how, yes, okay, yeah, you look really good. You've lost all this weight, blah, 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 blah. And that was all really cool. However, I still felt a little bit like it wasn't really me because I hadn't done anything about it. I hadn't been deliberate about my weight at all. It just kind of happened because I was doing other stuff, basically. So I didn't identify as this thin person. So I kind of just went about my life thinking, yeah, okay, I look good, yay, 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 whatever. And next thing I know, having not checked my weight for a while, I went on the scales and I'd put on weight. I'd put on a lot of weight, in fact, truth be told, and I'd just been deceiving myself into thinking that I was still kind of trim and slim, when really, no, I was putting on weight because even though people said I was whatever, I personally didn't feel that I was healthy or anything. So, in the end, I manifested exactly what I thought I was. Okay? I couldn't see myself as healthy, so I saw myself more as a fat, unhealthy person. And then when I stood on the scales and I confirmed with myself that that is in fact who I was, I now felt the need to actually get deliberate about becoming slimmer again and also eating healthier. But in my head, there was still that whole thing about the fact that I was not, I was a fat, unhealthy person, and I couldn't seem to shake it. And so, no matter how many big leaps of, oh, I'm going to start exercising 20 million times now, it just didn't stick. It just didn't stick. So, finally, I had to try to do something differently because I knew that nothing was going to change unless I reset the way I was seeing myself. I couldn't create a different, more healthy reality while I kept thinking of myself as a fat, unhealthy person. Okay, so how did I do this? One of the things I did was I just committed to hitting 5,000 steps a day, which I know that the norm is 10,000 steps a day, but I tried the 10,000 steps a day and I wasn't getting there. And it was making me feel even more like the fat, unhealthy person. So instead, I decided, you know what? No, 5,000 steps a day. I'm going to jump up every so often in the day and just run up and down the room 200 steps. And that'll be that. And in time, I'll get to 5,000 steps. And so I did that. This is something that I could do really easy. It didn't take me a long time to just jump up and down for 200 steps at a time, rather than trying to be that wonderful person that does everything all at once, because that just made me crash and burn. So when I got into the habit, in fact, I'm getting into the habit now, but I just remember walking upstairs this morning thinking to myself, I am now a person who exercises. I am now a person who loses weight by being healthy. I am now a person who does the work because I have been doing it now consistently for a week or more, and begun to believe in myself again about the fact that I can actually create this. Okay. And that's the thing. And I know it's still early days, but the message I suppose I'm trying to put across to you here is that this will, whatever area of your life, you have to figure out a way to be the person that you want to be even before it's a reality. Because while you have that, just like I had the whole I'm a fat, unhealthy person playing out in my head, I kept making that reality. I kept making that reality. So if you have in your head that it's a struggle to be wealthy, it's a struggle to make money with your business, it's a struggle to have great relationships, it's just, I just can't do it, I'm not that person, then you will not be that person. You have to find a way, a little step that you can take to reset your brain. How can you start small today to reset your brain? Everybody wants to go for the giant leaps, okay? So they never quite get it out of the gate because you can't just jump straight from where you are to over there because you can't, because you're not that person. But you can be a person that does something a little every single day in order to reset your brain to thinking that you are that person, because then you become that person who makes things happen in that particular area of your life. Okay, and this, my computer keeps switching off, and then you start to add more of the actions that make you that person, and next thing you know, you really are that person. And I know it seems fairly simplistic to think that you have to become someone who thinks you're successful in a certain area and then it will work, but it really is that simple. We do try to make everything really complicated and then we sabotage our own success. So start with a small win, accompany it with a few affirmations about who you now choose to be, who you now choose to be. I now choose to be slim and healthy. I now choose to be slim and healthy. I have a big calling. I intend that my body is going to last for as long as is possible. That's the kind of thing I say to myself. And then naturally allow, start with a small win, and then naturally allow the next win to happen and then the next win. And one day you realize that you are a person who actually wins in this area, and it gets easier and easier to win bigger and bigger because now I can do more jumping jacks and crunches and all of that stuff. But I started with just 200 steps. Okay, but you gotta reset what is going on in that head of yours. You have to be the person first, and then it becomes your reality. Okay, so would you like to be someone who gets your first 5 customers, clients, recruits online? Then pop over to rosemarynonnyknight.com/5 customers. It is time to fight for to create the life, the business you want. Because why ever not? Okay, until the next time.